Loving a man is not the hardest part. The hardest part is knowing when love is no longer enough. Because walking away doesn't usually happen when you stop loving him. It happens when staying starts costing you yourself. And that moment, when love and self-respect collide, is where many women feel lost. So let me be clear with you. From a man speaking honestly to women, walking away is not failure. Sometimes it's the most powerful act of love you can give to yourself. Let's start with the first moment you must pay attention to. 1. You need to walk away even if you love him when love requires you to abandon your emotional needs to keep the connection alive. This is the earliest and most dangerous sign because it feels like sacrifice, not self-betrayal. At first, it looks small. You don't bring things up. You wait a little longer. You understand his mood. You give him space. You tell yourself this is what love looks like. Patience, compromise, emotional maturity. But slowly, something changes. You start editing yourself. You hesitate before expressing how you feel. You soften your needs so they don't feel too much. And without realizing it, the relationship becomes a place where you must shrink in order for it to survive. From a man's perspective, this is not love growing. This is imbalance forming. A relationship that requires one person to stay quiet so the other can stay comfortable is not a safe bond. It's an agreement where one heart is carried and the other is ignored. Here's the truth many women don't want to hear, but need to. If a man can only stay connected to you when your needs are minimized, he is not loving you. He is loving the version of you that asks for less. And that version is not you. Emotionally mature men do not feel threatened by a woman's needs. They may not always meet them perfectly, but they don't require her silence to stay present. So when you notice that love only flows when you stay quiet, that is not intimacy. That is emotional avoidance. And staying in that dynamic teaches your nervous system something dangerous, that love requires self-erasure. This is the moment walking away becomes an act of self-respect. Not because you don't love him, but because loving him is costing you your voice, your truth, and your emotional safety. You can love someone deeply and still recognize that the relationship is not capable of holding you. And that recognition is not weakness. It is clarity. 2. You need to walk away even if you love him when effort is consistently one-sided and you are the only one trying to hold the relationship together. This is one of the most exhausting places a woman can be, because love convinces you that effort means commitment. So you give more, you adjust more, you initiate more, you explain more, and you tell yourself that if you just stay patient, he will eventually meet you where you are. But love is not meant to be carried by one person. When you are always the one reaching out, repairing tension, initiating conversations, and maintaining emotional closeness, the relationship stops being a partnership. It becomes a responsibility you carry alone. From a man's perspective, this dynamic doesn't create security. It creates passivity. When a woman consistently does the emotional work for two people, a man doesn't feel inspired to step up. He feels accommodated. And accommodation without accountability slowly erodes respect. Here's the hard truth. If he wanted to show up, you wouldn't have to keep reminding him how to care. Effort doesn't need to be perfect, but it does need to be mutual. Love grows when both people feel chosen, not when one person feels responsible for keeping things alive. Many women stay because they confuse loyalty with endurance. They think staying through imbalance proves depth. But imbalance doesn't mature into harmony on its own. It becomes resentment. And resentment poisons love quietly. You start feeling tired. You start feeling unseen. You start feeling like you're asking for too much, when you're actually asking for the bare minimum. Walking away in this moment is not giving up on love. It's refusing to participate in a dynamic where love only flows in one direction. A man who is capable of partnership does not watch a woman carry everything without stepping forward. He doesn't stay passive while she burns herself out. And if he does, that tells you something important about his readiness. Love should not feel like a job interview you keep failing despite doing all the work. When effort is consistently one-sided, walking away is not rejection, it's self-alignment. 3. You need to walk away even if you love him when the relationship keeps you in uncertainty instead of moving toward clarity. This one is especially painful because uncertainty keeps hope alive. He doesn't leave. He doesn't fully choose either. He stays just close enough to keep you emotionally invested. And because there is no clear ending, you tell yourself the story that things are still becoming something. But love is not meant to live in limbo. When a man truly wants to build something with you, clarity increases over time, not confusion. Even if he moves slowly, his direction becomes clearer. His intentions sharpen. His presence stabilizes. An emotionally unavailable or unready man does the opposite. He keeps things vague, undefined, open-ended. He avoids conversations about where things are going, or he reassures you emotionally without changing his behavior. From your side, this creates emotional suspension. You don't know whether to lean in or pull back. You don't know whether to invest or protect yourself. You don't know whether to wait or walk away. And living in that in-between state slowly erodes your sense of self. Here's the truth many women avoid because it hurts. Uncertainty is not a neutral phase. It is information. A man who keeps you uncertain is not confused about you. He is uncertain about his willingness to commit. And instead of facing that truth, he keeps the connection ambiguous so he doesn't have to make a decision. That ambiguity benefits him. But it costs you. Because the longer you stay in uncertainty, the more you emotionally invest in something that has no solid structure to hold you. Walking away here is not impatience. It's emotional intelligence. You are not demanding guarantees. You are asking for orientation. You are asking to know whether this connection is moving somewhere real or simply circling the same emotional ground. And when clarity does not come, despite time, patience, and communication, walking away becomes an act of self-respect. Love that keeps you guessing is not deep love. It is unresolved attachment. A man who is ready to love does not leave a woman suspended indefinitely. He may take time, but he does not hide behind ambiguity. When uncertainty becomes the norm instead of the exception, that is your signal. And honoring that signal, even while loving him, is how you protect your future. 4. You need to walk away even if you love him when he repeatedly shows you who he is, and you keep hoping he will become someone else. This is one of the most painful moments for a woman because love makes potential feel real. You see his good sides. You remember his words. You hold on to the moments where he almost showed up the way you needed. And because you love him, you start explaining away the rest. You tell yourself he's just stressed. You tell yourself he's afraid. You tell yourself he'll change once things settle down. But here's the truth I want to give you honestly. Love does not live in potential. It lives in patterns. A man shows you his emotional capacity through what he repeats, not through what he promises, not through what he intends, and not through what you imagine he could become. When his behavior keeps hurting you in the same way, when the same issues resurface without real change, when the same conversations lead to the same outcomes, that is not a rough phase. That is information. From a man's perspective, I can tell you this clearly. If a man truly wants to change for a relationship, change shows up in behavior, not in explanations. Words are easy when love is present. Effort is harder, and sustained effort is what reveals readiness. Many women stay because they don't want to give up on someone they love. But staying while hoping a man will become someone else quietly trains you to ignore reality. And ignoring reality always costs you. You begin negotiating with yourself. You accept less than you need. You lower your expectations in the name of love. But love should not require you to betray your own discernment. Emotionally mature women don't leave at the first flaw, but they also don't stay when patterns make it clear that the relationship cannot meet them. There is a difference between patience and self-abandonment. Patience waits for growth that is actively happening. Self-abandonment waits for growth that is only imagined. Walking away here doesn't mean you didn't love him enough. It means you loved yourself enough to stop living in hope instead of truth. Because a relationship cannot be built on who someone might become, only on who they consistently are. And choosing reality over potential is one of the strongest acts of self-respect a woman can make. 5. You need to walk away even if you love him when the relationship costs you your peace more often than it gives you safety. This is one of the clearest signals, and also one of the easiest to ignore. At first, the anxiety feels situational. You tell yourself it's just a phase, just distance, just stress. But over time, your body starts responding before your mind does. You feel tense instead of relaxed. You overthink small changes. You feel unsettled more than secure. And even when things are good, a part of you stays alert, waiting for the next shift. That is not intuition being dramatic. That is your nervous system telling you something is off. Healthy love does not keep you in a constant state of emotional vigilance. It may challenge you at times, but it does not make peace feel temporary. From a man's perspective, I want you to hear this clearly. A relationship that repeatedly destabilizes you is not asking you to grow. It is asking you to endure. And endurance is not love. Many women confuse anxiety with passion. They think the emotional highs and lows mean the connection is deep. But depth does not require chaos. Depth creates grounding. An emotionally available man may not be perfect, but his presence calms rather than activates fear. You don't have to guess where you stand. You don't have to monitor his mood to feel okay. You don't have to brace yourself emotionally. When love is right, your nervous system softens. When love is wrong, even if it feels intense, your nervous system stays on edge. Walking away here is not about avoiding discomfort. It's about refusing to normalize emotional instability as intimacy. You are not too sensitive for wanting peace. You are not weak for needing safety. Love that costs you your peace will eventually cost you your self-trust. And once self-trust erodes, everything else follows. Emotionally mature women don't wait until they are broken to leave. They listen to the quiet signals before the damage becomes obvious. If your body feels tired, anxious, or heavy in a connection more often than it feels calm and supported, that is information. And honoring that information, even when you love him, is wisdom, not fear. 6. You need to walk away even if you love him when respect keeps eroding and you are the one doing all the emotional adapting. This doesn't always look like obvious disrespect. Often it's quiet, subtle, almost invisible at first. He cancels plans last minute without concern. He forgets things that matter to you. He crosses small boundaries and acts like they don't matter. And when you express discomfort, he minimizes it or turns it into a joke. From your side, you start adjusting. You become more flexible. You lower expectations. You explain yourself more gently. You tell yourself you're being understanding, mature, easygoing. But here's the truth many women overlook. Respect doesn't disappear suddenly. It erodes when boundaries are not met with care. An emotionally mature man may make mistakes, but when he realizes he's crossed a line, he adjusts. He takes your discomfort seriously. He wants to protect the bond. An emotionally unavailable or unready man does the opposite. He benefits from your flexibility without reciprocating respect. And the more you adapt, the more the imbalance grows. This is where love becomes dangerous. Because love makes you tolerate things you would never accept if you weren't emotionally attached. You start normalizing disrespect in small doses, and small doses add up. From a man speaking honestly to women, when a man feels he can repeatedly disappoint you without consequence, something important shifts inside him. Not because he stops caring, but because the relationship no longer requires him to rise. Respect is maintained through mutual accountability, not endless understanding. Walking away here is not punishment, it is protection. You are not being dramatic for noticing repeated patterns. You are not asking for too much by expecting consideration. Love that lacks respect will always turn into resentment, and resentment destroys connection faster than distance ever could. Emotionally strong women don't argue for respect. They observe whether it exists. And when it doesn't, they choose themselves, even when love is still present. Because love without respect is not intimacy, it's emotional compromise. 7. You need to walk away even if you love him when you are always waiting, and he is always comfortable. This is one of the most draining dynamics a woman can be in, because nothing is obviously wrong, but nothing is right either. You're waiting for consistency, waiting for clarity, waiting for him to be ready. And while you're waiting, he is settled exactly where he is. From his side, there is no urgency. The relationship meets his needs as it is. He has connection, affection, emotional support, without having to fully step up. From your side, time feels heavy. You feel like your life is on pause emotionally. You hesitate to move forward, make decisions, or fully open yourself to the future because everything depends on when he decides. Here's the truth that matters. Love is not meant to keep one person suspended while the other stays comfortable. When a man truly values a woman, he does not allow her to live in prolonged uncertainty. He may not rush, but he does not stall indefinitely. Waiting becomes dangerous when it is one-sided, because waiting slowly trains you to accept delay as normal, and delay without direction turns into emotional neglect. Walking away here is not impatience. It is refusing to put your life on hold for someone who is not moving toward you. Love should move with you, not leave you behind. 8. You need to walk away even if you love him when your growth requires you to outgrow the relationship. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. Sometimes you don't leave because the relationship is toxic. You leave because you are becoming more self-aware, more grounded, more emotionally clear, and the relationship cannot meet you there. You start wanting deeper communication, healthier dynamics, more emotional responsibility, and instead of growing with you, he stays the same. From your side, this creates grief. Not anger, grief, because you still love him, but you can feel yourself expanding beyond what the relationship can hold. Here's the honest truth from a man speaking to women. Love does not always end because it disappears. Sometimes it ends because one person evolves and the other does not. And staying in a relationship you've outgrown slowly pulls you backward. You start dimming your awareness. You stop honoring your insights. You choose familiarity over alignment. Walking away here is not betrayal. It is honoring who you are becoming. And the right relationship will never require you to stop growing in order to stay connected. 9. You need to walk away, even if you love him when staying is teaching you to doubt your worth. This is subtle, but devastating. You start questioning whether you're asking for too much. You wonder if your needs are unreasonable. You feel guilty for wanting clarity, effort, or reassurance. And slowly, love becomes something you have to earn instead of something you are met in. Here is the truth you must hear clearly. A healthy relationship reinforces your worth. An unhealthy one makes you question it. A man who is right for you does not make you feel replaceable, uncertain, or easy to lose. He may not be perfect, but he does not leave you feeling invisible. When love turns into self-doubt, it is no longer love that is growing, it is insecurity. And walking away here is not arrogance. It is reclaiming your sense of self. Part 10. You need to walk away even if you love him when love becomes pain without progress. Pain alone does not mean you should leave. All relationships have challenges, but pain without growth, pain without repair, pain without change, that is a warning. If the same hurts repeat, if the same conversations lead nowhere, if the same patterns keep returning, then love is no longer evolving. It is looping. And loops do not become breakthroughs without willingness on both sides. Staying in pain without progress teaches you to normalize suffering. And love was never meant to be something you survive. Walking away here is not quitting. It is choosing a future where love does not require constant endurance. Here is what I want you to understand deeply. Walking away does not mean you didn't love him. It means you loved yourself enough to stop disappearing. Love is not proven by how long you stay. It is proven by how honestly you live inside the relationship. When staying costs you your voice, your peace, your growth, or your self-respect, leaving becomes an act of strength, not loss. Some relationships end not because love was weak, but because self-respect became stronger. And when you choose yourself, you don't lose love. You make room for the kind of love that doesn't ask you to shrink to keep it.